Welcome to Big Questions. Anybody wanting to improve their storytelling, listen to the actor Matthew McConaughey talk about how he learned to tell a good story. It all starts at the dinner table. Were you as good a storyteller before you became an actor, or did acting help turn you into the magnificent storyteller that you are?
Well, I think acting helped a lot. I will say this, though, because I've always been a pretty good storyteller, but in my family, that's a very high bar. So when we would sit at the table and it'd be me, Mom, Pat, Rooster, and my dad, and a lazy Susan in the middle, and I'm the youngest, that's where the stories got going. And being the youngest, and hearing my dad, who was a great storyteller, and then hearing Rooster's extraordinary storyteller, and hearing Pat, who's a different kind of radical storyteller. And then Mom would have been the fourth best because she'd come in and she was pretty good at it, but those three were the best at it. Anyway, if I could find a pause in the conversation where I could jump in and maybe get a story going, I would, if I got the courage to do it. But what was hard is sometimes you get in and now you got the floor and everyone's eating and they kind of look over at you like, okay, your floor, and you get self-conscious. They go, oh shit, it's my floor. And you start telling the story, and maybe if you stutter or lose track a little bit, they'd all just go, and start in their own story again. It was like, no, you didn't make the cut. And so you had to fight for story time. And then when you got it, you better tell a good story. And if it didn't hold the crowd, they would just go, and anyway, back on, and there's nothing said. It was just like, you had your chance, you fumbled the ball, you're out. And so the next time you're at dinner, you're like, man, I'd be in my room rehearsing the story. Like if this subject comes up tonight, maybe I can get in and give my version of the story. And it didn't happen that often, but I would try to shoot my gaps. And so then acting, and having children helped a lot, because I've been doing a lot of movies. Most of the movies I do are already dramas. My kids haven't seen most of my movies, but when they go, what's this movie you're about? Well, the way I tell Camilla, or I was going to my wife, or I would pitch you a movie, very different than I'm going to explain to my 4-year-old, 8-year-old, or 10-year-old child. So I constantly work on who's my audience. How do I tell my story? How do I tell a story of True Detective or Dallas Buyers Club to my 6-year-old child? That if I tell it the R-rated version that it is, it opens up too many questions to them. They're confused. They're scared. Oh my gosh, I don't know reality from fiction. So how do I tell it in a parable? It's about this guy who got really sick and nobody really wanted to help him out. And then the stuff that could help him out, there's like a law against it helping him out. And he said, you know what, I'm going to go around law. He even left the country. And he found this medicine that he brought back, and it started helping people out, and he started getting stronger, and he survived. They only gave him like months to live. He ended up living like this many more years. And he didn't live forever, but he also helped out a lot of other people live longer and lead happier lives and hang around life longer, because he was a renegade. He went off on his own. So it's general, but I'll come up with how do I tell a story so my kids can go, wow, that sounds cool. But I can't tell them, the literal truth. If I told them as I would pitch it to you or an adult, they'd be horrified and confused. So I also have practiced. I put myself on the spot. I've told these stories. Like I've tell the Australian story. When I perform the Australian story, it takes 43 minutes.
Oh, man.
And I've told it and then had people go at other places, okay, everyone go get another drink, go to the bathroom, because I'm about to ask Matthew to do something. And I will come back, sit down, and then they'll go, Matthew, will you please tell the Australian story? And I'll be like, okay. And I take my time and do it all. And then if I can hold it, so I practice it to performing some of these stories, and put myself on the spot to do so.
Matthew tells a lot of other great stories on this week's episode of Big Questions, so check out the podcast.